this my son Menachem. I'm so proud of him right now because he's like a man. He knows how to handle his business. You want to shout out your therapist?
Oh, she helps me a lot. Like me and my mom, we get into a bunch of fights at home.
As we do as kids, bro.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what we do, man.
So whenever we need a session, mom and dad aren't getting along, make a session. It helps a lot. And it's like, I don't know how you live without therapy. Like that's like one of the things that's like essential in life.
I love it. The energy is right. The Therapy Sessions podcast, sitting alongside Matisyahu, and let's hit some of the struggles, some of the things that you're proud to have overcome with mental health. Gosh, man, navigating just like you said in our previous conversation, having to create a safe space when there's so much hatred in the world at times, but you're willing to power through it in order to be that beacon of light for folks. What's been that challenge that you maybe had one of the most difficult times overcoming?
Well, I would say, like, just take you down the timeline a little bit. Well, one of the biggest challenges for me was like becoming religious, I would say. Mm-hmm. And then the second biggest challenge, which was almost equally as challenging 10 years later, was the decision to not be religious anymore. So that was pretty tough because you're talking about like an ultimate reality. So everything that we know from how we're raised for the most part in America is that like you make your own decisions and like you get information from people, you have to follow rules, but basically at the end of the day, like you make decisions based on your own sense of logic and what makes sense to you. So basically those decisions are made through your own capacity for really what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
And you might make decisions that aren't the right decisions, or you might even do things that don't line up with your own ethics, but at the end of the day, you're trying to stay on a path, a moral compass, let's say, that you set out for yourself. When you become connected to like a grand idea, whether it's religion or philosophy, whatever it is, you all of a sudden like make the sacrifice of your own decision making for this higher,
for the sake of
for this higher purpose or this higher thing that you believe is more important than your own free will. And that decision to cross into that has to be fueled by something powerful. So that for me was a very tough decision. Now, when you've already been living that lifestyle for a period of time, and then you decide that that you no longer ascribe to it, and you're going to kind of start making decisions again for yourself. And there's a lot of loopholes and a lot of leeway. You obviously have people that are religious that justify whatever behavior they want to do
for sure.
with their own religion. So you can kind of find ways to maneuver. But if you're trying to be authentic and be real, then the decision, once you're no longer really believing in that thing, the decision to jump out of it, even though, like in my case, having a career that was kind of built upon this and an image and all of that.
Yeah.
So,
come on in, fam. Yeah, for sure.
This my son Menachem. I'm so proud of him right now because he's like a man. He knows how to handle his business. You want to shout out your therapist?
Oh, she helps me a lot. Like me and my mom, we get into a bunch of fights at home.
As we do as kids, bro.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what we do, man.
So whenever we need a session, mom and dad aren't getting along, make a session. It helps a lot. And it's like, I don't know how you live without therapy. Like that's like one of the things that's like essential in life.
Word.
Yeah.
That's.
You might need to do a whole
interview
with this guy.
Get you on the pod, man. No, but it's really dope, man. I mean, it's one of the things that you've been able to learn how to become that strong young man, that you're going to grow into your own space, but you're already doing it, dude. Because I'll tell you, when I was 13, I was not nearly as focused, bro. So
it's all about
gotta give you that.
It's all about self-knowledge.
Yeah.
And the sooner that you start to try to like understand yourself and realize that you have like the capacity to be different versions of yourself based on multiple things,
Yes.
but one of them being, it's like G.I. Joe. It's like You know, knowing is half the battle. You have to know yourself. You have to know your enemy, your allies. You have to know your world around you. There's many ways of doing that. Yeah. One of the most direct ways is talking. Now, the problem is that most therapists are garbage, probably like 60% of them, at least. So you have to get through all of those people, and when you're a young kid, you don't have the ability necessarily to find those people. But if you get lucky and you find a good therapist, then you have kind of an edge on the entire game. You know, especially if you're young. You start learning about yourself when you're 13 years old.
It's kind of like a head start into life, like as a man. Like,
exactly.
Bro. If you start that as young, like then you continue without your life, like throughout. And it really helps. It's like a head start into becoming a man.
Yeah. Most Def said knowledge of self is like life after death.
This is how we're gonna wrap up this last little segment on the pod, man. Being a father, the work-life balance. You've expressed it. You're proof positive of it. How special is it? How important is it for you to be able to set the family off in the right direction, to give them the foundation that they can learn how to become better versions of themselves? Like this splitting image right here.
The balance is tough for fathers, for mothers that work, and you try to find that balance between how do I put food on the table for my family and also not be one of those parents that's non-existent. You know what I mean? Like how do you balance both? That is the juggling act for all of us. That's the dance that we, once you have your first kid, you're thrown into that, and you have to figure that out. And hopefully your kids give you a little bit of a break,
Every once in a while.
It's tough. It is hard. It is hard. I'm not gonna lie. It's very difficult,
Yeah.
You go through it at different phases with different kids, depending on your work. For someone like me, where I have to literally go places to get paid, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's been tough.
Well, I want to, on behalf of our family here, the Happy Jack family, we got some gifts for you, man. You know what I mean? Lounge around the crib. Throw on the cap if you want to throw on the cap. Let me set this down for you. This right here, a beautiful sentiment from us to you, to my therapist about you.
Very nice.
I love the fact. No, of course, you're very welcome. I just love the fact that you were willing to be who you are, to open up, to have a conversation, because it is super important not only to say the words, but for folks to hear the words from people who they look up to. And this back and forth conversation it's really, I don't know if there's another way I would have liked to celebrate a Sunday. Blessings,
Thank you so much. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, from behind the camera, can we give them a round of applause? This right here is Matisyahu. A scent is out right now. If you're not listening, I don't know if we could be friends.